back, what was the one thing that you've learned from who you were in the marriage and who you are now?
I would say God has to be first. It's the biggest lesson I walked away from that situation with. And it's not just first in your relationship, it's first in your life. And it has to be God, that has to be something that's at the front and center of every decision, every thought, everything that you do, every action you take. And, I would say just by prioritizing God first, that allowed me to then see myself in a new way and be who I truly was the whole time.
Yeah.
That I was afraid to be. And so being yourself, honoring yourself, honoring your needs, valuing yourself, and not allowing yourself to be lost in a situation, and ultimately it comes down to being incompatible. And the lack of compatibility comes from not having God at the center.
And so, Santia, when you were in these dating streets, you started writing your first letter. How old were you?
2017. But
for 5 years ago.
Yeah, 25.
25.
Yeah.
And so at that time, you wanted to be married?
I did.
So how when you looked at your life, a lot of females always imagine when the big day would happen. What day was that for you? What year did you say you was going to be 25, 26, or before 30?
I honestly thought I was going to be married like around 25, 26. So I was definitely ready. But to be honest, I've always been like a marriage-minded person since I was a young kid. For some reason, I just loved love. I was like a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
But obviously, as I got older, I was like, man, I don't have fun like not being in a relationship. Like I don't enjoy just being out here searching, getting my heart broken. All this trial and error. I was over it. So
at 25, you was over.
At 25.
You said, I'm done. God, you got to bring me somebody. I'm writing this letter.
I was like,
I need whoever it is to grab this letter and come to me.
It's like I'm done.
Yes, like I really like, and then seeing, my mom and, her finding love again. And then my older brother got married. So I was like, okay, this is real. Like this can actually be a thing. And for me, like I said, I was ready. And I also was like, I want kids. I wanted kids at 25 as well. So I was like, I want the whole package.
How many kids you want?
2, maybe 3.
How many kids you want?
I always say 9.5, but I settled with her 2.
Did you say 9.5? You want 9.5 kids?
9.5.
Because it's not me.
She said, not me. It ain't
It's
coming
gonna
out
be
of
a
my
little
womb. We're
puppy.
gonna adopt
Just a
or
little
something.
puppy. It's gonna be a little puppy. Nah, I want to as well.
Yeah, so you want to. Yeah. And so before I even talk about how y'all met. So here you are, you out in these dating streets, 25 years old. Mm-hmm. What were you doing at that age? What career were you doing? So
I was an entrepreneur. I was really focused on like online training because I was a fitness trainer. So I was building up my brand. I was also an influencer, and I was also a nanny. So I was.
So that really was messing with you. Talking, I want my own baby. I'm taking care of those people's kids.
I was like, oh my God. So I was like being prepared to be like a mom. So I really enjoyed that. So I was honestly just focused on myself, like focused on getting ready, building. And at that time, if I'm being real, looking back, I was not ready emotionally yet. And I wasn't, and also mentally, because I had been through so much, like in relationships. So I feel like I was also feeding off of pain.
Yeah.
So, and I also feel like that's why I got pushed into the relationship that I was in at that time or before that time. So I think once that ended, I was just like, I was trying to grab on to anything instead of trying to heal. So I will say that. But even outside of that, like I still never became like scorned or hardened. I still believed in love. I still didn't believe every man was bad. Yeah. So, I still wanted it, but I still had a lot of work to do at that time.
So you tell me, you said in hindsight being 20/20, that's what you saw. Even in that moment, you never became a bitter woman.
Never.
Always was hopeful.
Always.
How many bad relationships did you go through from 25 until the day that you met Isaac over here?
Every single one.
If you can quantify it, is it 5? Or
Oh,
are you
okay,
one of
a
those people that's
number?
really relationship driven that you start dating a guy and y'all boot up, this is my man, and were you one of those type, or were you casually dating, or
No, I was never like a casual dater. It's
you
like
had
to
boyfriends?
Like you had to say, do you
we
want to
go
be
together.
with me?
Yeah, we go together.
Yes.
Circle yes or no.
So yeah, exactly. So it wasn't no maybe, no in between. Let's see. It wasn't none of that. I don't do that. So I would say between then and like probably 4. Yeah, 4.
And you feel like all 4 of those relationships were toxic?
Yes, extremely toxic.
Explain. When you say toxic, because a lot of time we use these labels and be like, oh, it's a toxic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What does that really mean to you?
So when I say toxic, I've been through some of the worst things that you can go through in a relationship. So I went through physical abuse. I went through mental, emotional. I've been cheated on. Yeah, I've been dating someone and didn't know that he was cheating, and then the lady showed up, and
Showed
I'm
up
in
what,
that
to your house?
to his house. Yeah.
Oh, while you were there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I've had the full range.
And out of all that, you still was hopeful.
I still was hopeful. I don't, and honestly, I really don't know why. I just feel like that's my personality. Like I'm a very, very like caring. And I try to like see like both perspectives. So like I don't want to, like I feel like I can say that, you know, every man is bad, but is every man bad, or is it like the man that I'm choosing? And I always have to ask myself that when I got upset.
That's good,
Because-
Cynthia.
And my mom, and I keep saying my mom, but my mom really helped me.
No, that's good.
She used to
That means you
always
got
say,
a
don't, my
strong
mom used to
support.
always say, like, when I would be on the floor crying in a ball, in a fetal position, she'd be like, Cynthia, I know this hurts, but don't let this harden you. Do not let this harden you. She used to always
Good
tell me
mom.
that.
Good mom.
And
What's her name?
Cynthia.
Cynthia, shout out to you, Cynthia.
Shout
When I
out
say
to
that's
Mom.
what
Shout out to Mom.
I love that, because you can see the opposite of that. When you have moms seeing their daughters go through heartache and pain, and they tell her, you can't trust these men.
Exactly.
So I want you to get what you need to get from them, make them break that bread. Don't ever give them your heart, and don't you ever fall victim to a man.
Exactly.
But your mom actually
Opposite.
taught you properly and said, don't give up on love.
Every time.
Cynthia, shout out to you.
Every time.
Amazing.
So I owe a lot to my mom.
That's
It's the
amazing.
opposite of bitter.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So after coming through your marriage, were you hopeful in marriage to want to do it again, or were you like, I ain't never getting married again until you run into her?
It wasn't even my decision. It was God's decision.
How so?
I want to explain this. So I'm glad you asked that question. So the time in between that and meeting her, I dated, right? I dated with intention. I was looking, and I'm like, okay, this is what I need.
Right.
Right. I learned through that situation that my needs have to matter. I have
Facts.
to prioritize what I need, or it's going to end up being toxic.
100%.
And so going into these relationships and dating, I'm literally doing what I talked about earlier, is grilling. I'm trying to get an understanding of where you are spiritually first and foremost. And if God told me this is where I'm supposed to be, then I'm going to be there. If God is telling me this isn't where I'm supposed to be, then I'm out of here, which has been the situation. And so when I met Santia, and, you know, since we've gotten together, it's been that, you know, I didn't make the decision to go into this on my own. This wasn't a siloed, ego-based decision. This
Talk
was
about it, King.
faith and, you know, discernment. That's how it came to me. So that's the best way I can explain it. The choice to be married, it was never a bitter thing. It was never about, I don't want to be married. I don't like marriage. I actually love being married. I loved, you know, being in relationships. I like having a partner and a companion, somebody that you can build with and grow with. So those parts of it were attractive, but I knew it was going to be tough to find.
Yeah.
I wasn't naive to that fact.